Sorry to interrupt this video for this awesome giveaway. All right, guys. So we're giving away some Vortex binos. You look like you could use some free binos. Do you like free binos? Do you like free hunting gear? Well, you're in the right place. We're gonna give away a lot of it. We're gonna start with a pair of Vortex binos. So in order to win these Vortex binos, it's not that hard, guys. All you gotta do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you can even comment below for extra entries. So we're gonna be giving away a pair of Vortex binos for now, but don't worry, if you don't win the Vortex binos, we're gonna keep giving stuff away. We're looking to ramp this channel up fast. So the faster we get more subscribers, the faster we start giving away stuff. Do you want a new bow? We're gonna be giving away a new bow. There's a whole list of things that we're gonna be giving away. This is just the first. So if you get entered now, you're gonna be entered for all future giveaways. So like I said, guys, we're gonna give away a pair of Vortex binos very soon. We only got a handful of subscribers to go until we get to our goal. When we get there, we're gonna announce it. We'll probably do another video announcing who the winner is and give away some free stuff. So if you guys want a pair of Vortex binos, maybe a bow in the future, or a lot of other cool gear, hit the subscribe button, make sure you're liking these videos, and also comment for extra entries. So simple as that. If you like free stuff, do it. All right, guys, so shed antler season is approaching. Maybe now it's shed antler, hunting season in your neck of the woods. What do those shed antlers mean? Do they mean anything? Can they help you kill a deer? Some guys say yes, some guys say no. And to the guys that say no, I would say you're not analyzing your situation properly. Because in my opinion, and it is my opinion only, but in my opinion, finding shed antlers can definitely help you kill your target buck. So a lot of guys are thinking about, and I've seen different videos of guys talking about it, I found the shed antler, this must be his core area, things along that nature. And that's definitely possible. You hear a lot of times, you hear these stories of guys hunting down these deer, finding their shed antlers, and the next year they end up killing the deer within 60 to 100, 200 yards, something like that. That's definitely possible. But there might be more underlying reasons that we're not thinking about, and those are some of the reasons that I want to get into today. It's possible to kill, let's say you find a shed antler, it's possible to kill that buck in January, or not January, but September, October, November, but the time frame that I'm really focusing on is like December and January, late in the season, okay? Why? The whole reason that I'm focusing on that time period, especially if I am hunting a deer that lived through the prior year and I picked up his sheds in this area, and now I'm focusing on that December, January time frame, is there is a reason that that buck was in that area when he dropped his sheds at the end of the season, December, January time frame. Could be February, could be in there, but nonetheless, it's that late season time. There was a reason that he was in that area. So what am I getting at? Well, first of all, when it comes to deer hunting on any topic, you always got to ask yourself why. If you see sign, you got to ask yourself, why is it there? If you're out hunting and something happens and it happens a certain way, ask yourself why. Sometimes there is no rhyme or reason, but still you need to overanalyze situations and think about every possible reason as to why things happen. So in this given scenario, a buck drops his sheds, okay, he drops his antlers in December, January, February, late in the year. There was a reason why that buck was there. So in my head, I'm automatically thinking, 1, there was a food source. 2, there was a bedding area, and 3, there was a transition area in between. So now what we have to do is we have to put those puzzle pieces together so that when you find that shed, let's say last year, you can make a plan if that buck makes it into the late season this year. There was a reason why that deer was in that area. What was that food source? Break it down. If you're the public land guy, you're big woods guy, what was that food source? You might have to search a little bit harder. Is it leftover acorns from early in the season? Is it clear cut? I see that a lot in the northern portion of the country, maybe in PA, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, some of those northern states. If you get a couple-year-old clear cut, it could be a hot spot for late season activity. And a lot of times you get new regeneration, new oaks, oak saplings. It could be a double whammy where you actually have a clear cut and a lot of acorns, and as long as you don't have a bunch of snow, they're going to keep digging and pawing at those acorns. So in that big wood situation, that's something I'm looking for. It could be your locust pods. I know we've talked a little bit about the predominant food sources that I like to hunt in big wood settings or in wooded settings late in the year, and locust pods is one of them. Chestnuts, any food in the big wood scenario that that could be left over. And like I said, I brought up those clear cuts, and I guess I should get a little bit more into detail. There's the natural browse. Maybe there's an area of timber, maybe it's not a clear cut, but it's thick, it's nasty. It's got browse where deer can actually reach that browse and actually feed on it. So now we're looking at that food source, picking it apart, why those deer are there, making sense of the situation. If we can make sense of the situation, it's a lot more likely that you'll have more success. So food source is number one on that list for late season, and asking yourself why. Why did this buck shed his antlers here? Chances are the food source is there. These other points and topics that I'm going to get into are kind of secondary, but nonetheless, they're going to play a role in you having success in killing these deer, okay? So let's move to the transition area. There's obviously a transition area from food to bed. That's that in-between area for those of you that are unfamiliar. This transition area sometimes is where you catch those deer in daylight coming out of the bedroom. So make sense of where the food source is and track it back. Now, if you're one of those guys who has snow in your part of the country, this makes it super easy. Just follow it back to where the beds are. And that area in between is your transition area. If you can make sense of that transition area, you can now look at maps, you can look at topographical features, make sense of why they did what they did, look at predominant winds, make sense of the predominant winds and maybe thermals and how they work through the topography there. And now you can set up in that transition area in the future. If you understand why the deer did what they did and understand the proper wind to get in there and hunt those deer, you can absolutely have success hunting these deer in the transition areas, all from finding the sheds late in the season. Like I said, that's what we're talking about here, guys. You want to make sense of why a shed antler is where it is. Sometimes you can't come up with a rhyme or reason, but at least if you overanalyze and you ask yourself why, we can try and make sense of it. It might help you in the future. So that transition area is definitely an area of focus. Sometimes you sit on the food if you have the right weather or the right conditions, and sometimes you have to push back into that transition area, and that's why I wanted to touch on that transition area. Sometimes if you're the public land guy, you have pressure, you got to move back into that transition area because you only have a limited amount of time before somebody else screws it up. And that's a tactic that I like to use on public land or heavily pressured ground, is I like to move back and get it done ASAP, because if I'm sitting on the fringes, I'm educating deer at the end of the day. So that transition area is very important to me as a public land hunter or hunting a pressured area. Maybe you're the private land guy with a couple hundred acres, you're in Iowa, Illinois, one of the top states. Maybe you sit back on that food and just wait, especially if you have the right access and entry to that stand in the right condition. Maybe you sit back and wait if you're not causing any harm. So now we talked about that transition area. Definitely key in on that transition area. Make sense of the whole puzzle here. The final piece to that puzzle is the bedding area. Now, the bedding area is very easy to find a lot of times with bucks. You're going to find old rubs, you're going to find buck sign, you're going to find a lot of deer sign in these areas. You're going to hopefully even find the beds. Obviously, once again, if you're in a part of the country that gets late season snow through December, January, February, the beds are there, and you just look for the big beds, make sense of it. And if you can look around in those areas and you see that there's a consistent amount of rubs, maybe even a buck bed where it's surrounded by rubs, now we can make sense. We're putting the puzzle pieces together. Why was that shed there? We got the food source, we got the transition area, we got the bedding area. Here's the pattern. If we can find that bedding area, now we have the entire piece, all the pieces of the puzzle, I guess you could say. And now once you have that, once again, you can go back and you can create your strategy, your hunting plan, all from finding a shed. So it's three different things that I'm kind of digging into and asking myself the whys. It's the transition area, it's the food source first, the transition area, and then the bedding area. So if you can make sense of that after finding a shed, making sense of why that deer was there, and have the same conditions the following year, let's say that you're in egg country and you get the same food source, or at least an attractive food source at the destination, and you can make sense of why those deer did what they did, and you get the same food source, you can almost bet that if that buck makes it through the gun seasons, makes it through the rut, he's likely to do the same thing. And that's how I actually found a deer that I'm hunting currently, and I don't know if I mentioned him or not, but a buck called Soko. I literally went into the same spot by using these tactics, found that buck after driving hundreds of miles within 12 hours. I found that deer, I got him on camera within 12 hours. So finding a shed late in the year, especially in that December, January timeframe, they're still in that hunting season. There's still time for you to be actually hunting that deer. So if you do find a shed in that time frame, and even into February, you can ultimately make sense of why that shed's there, why that deer was there, and ultimately, hopefully help you have success in future years. So those are some of the reasons why I dig a little bit deeper when it comes to finding shed antlers. And those are some of the reasons that maybe you can dig a little bit deeper, put the puzzle pieces together, and have some success in future years, all from finding shed antlers. If you guys like these videos, make sure that you're liking and subscribing. We're putting them out twice a week, so we're putting out tons of content for you guys. If you're looking to improve your habitat, improve your property, or just learn more about hunting, this is the place for you.